In terms of construction, we incorporated ideas from some American crime films such as Heat. The diner scene between Robert De Niro and Sylvester Stallone was a useful scene to take ideas from, as it included a pastiche element of confrontation that fitted well with the conversation between our characters, Frankie and Tony. Our character profiles are typical of the crime genre. The anti-hero, Tony, tries to protect his sister from the antagonist, Frankie, while being caught up in a race to get the money. Tony's character challenges the typical conventions of protagonists, which in turn creates more conflict and tension within the storyline. This leaves the audience with certain enigmas to try and work out what will happen in the narrative. There are general conventions of good versus evil in our narrative. Revenge and betrayal are key elements that are representative of crime films, and we have used these topics emphatically in order for it to become clear and concise for the audience. We have incorporated a non-linear narrative in our trailer to ensure the plot is seen as ambiguous, yet still maintaining understanding. The trailer switches between the equilibrium and disequilibrium in the first half of the trailer. The voiceover enables the equilibrium to seem like a flashback in order for the audience to understand the plot but disguise the various details that it contains. Relating to mise-en-scène, British crime films mostly take place in urban cities. For example, Snatch is set in and around central London. This is usually because of the well-known association with gangs and drug lords living in built-up areas. Our film challenges those conventions by primarily setting the film in the rural areas of small villages as it appeals to our niche target audience. However, we can argue that isolated areas conceal crime. A wooded area is perfect for a murder, for example, so the setting does in some aspects conform to low-key criminal figures. The characters involved in the film are small-time criminals, therefore it is set in small towns. These locations are easy to shoot in terms of practicality for the low budget, and the cast and crew all live nearby. Their take from the bank heist is not as high as a major Hollywood criminal would make, which reflects our very low budget. Their facial expressions remain stern and focused throughout, which builds drama and complies with the crime genre. For our props, we primarily used guns, fake money, and duffel bags, which are all quintessential items in a criminal's inventory. These items conform to the criminal's stereotype, which helps the audience to understand their profession and build a distinctive iconography to the film's image. Getaway vehicles such as the van and the motorbike are stereotypical, which conforms to the gritty crime genre. In terms of costume, the characters are wearing jeans, tracksuits and black jackets, the typical dress code of a modern small-time British criminal, therefore conforming to the criminal conventions. Our female character, on the other hand, wears bright colours in the beginning of the narrative but is dressed in black towards the end. This suggests that she succumbs to the antagonist's lifestyle and becomes brainwashed by his devious nature. The lighting we used in the cafe scene was very important. We incorporated dark, low-key lighting with crimson walls to convey the broken atmosphere in the restaurant between Tony and Frankie. We wanted to establish a dark, revengeful mood and subtly inform the audience that Frankie has returned from the shadows with a death wish. The side and back lighting provide a gangster element to the scene, which is slightly different to the lighting in the cafe scene in Heat, which is hard and bright. Therefore, using intertextuality, we have used similar aspects of the Heat diner scene and invented a post-modern feel to our restaurant scene. In terms of filming and editing, we incorporated post-modern camera techniques such as the graphic match of the black and white mask faded onto Tony's face. This adds to the concept of hyperreality as the two separate images are merged together using cross dissolves. The fight scene in Butcher's Woods uses flashes and corresponding sound effects when Tony's punches swing and connect with Frankie. Like in many crime trailers, the quick cuts and sound effects are used for dramatic effect to make the hits more severe to shock the audience, which in turn helps to build pace to the scene. Discussing titles, we originally placed the character credits in negative space next to the character's portrait. After some feedback, however, we decided that the titles would look better in a separate shot on their own, which encouraged the piece to incorporate more conventions of a trailer rather than an opening title sequence. Although Snatch uses freeze frames to introduce the actors, we believe that a black background with a hard, white-coloured font would make the names more prominent and idiosyncratic, which is important for the characters as they are the most important factor of the film's narrative. Furthermore, the black and white colours are binary opposites, which emphasise the element of good versus evil within the storyline.
The purpose of our poster is for it to act as part of our promotion and attract/inform audiences about the film. For example, our poster features guns in a forest hinting at the conventional themes of our narrative, because that mise-en-scène is synonymous with British crime films. It also acts to create hype and buzz. We will release the poster around December 2015/January 2016 because our film premieres at the Berlin Film Festival, which will run from the 11th to the 21st of January 2016. Our poster conforms and uses traditional crime film codes and conventions. Upon discovering Heat's poster with my group during our research phase, we all really liked it and decided I would model our poster around it, incorporating pastiche. I also thought it could act as a form of homage using intertextuality to Heat's, as we didn't have many postmodern elements in our trailer. When I was creating the design, I knew I wanted to use and develop Heat's style. I used a dark blue hue because it conforms to crime film conventions and connotes a dark, moody atmosphere commonly associated with the crime genre. Blue is also a typical convention of crime films. Furthermore, it suggests the police because of the blue lights their vehicles use, and Heat's poster uses it as well. I then created the main image for our poster. This too conforms and uses conventional crime film poster conventions because it is based around the characters and photography. The photography includes guns, casual clothing, gritty locations, low-key lighting, etc. The appeal of the characters is to intrigue, inform and entice the audience. For example, Heat's features extremely successful Hollywood stars, whereas ours features up-and-coming rising stars, which acts as a USP. Just like Heat, our two main characters emerge to create the basis of the poster. This iconography hints at the narrative because it suggests the two characters are interlinked. The image at the bottom also conforms to traditional crime codes and conventions because it depicts our main character with a gun. This too hints at the narrative, but also the genre. There are other aspects of mise-en-scène that we use to conform, such as his extremely stern and focused facial expression, which reinforces the tagline because it gives the impression he's a man on the mission. The location. Woods are synonymous with crime films for where someone is buried and killed. In addition, isolated locations like that are where crime films are concealed. Low-key lighting, a lighting pattern that uses chorizo in the frame to unnerve the audience. This implies that the dark themes throughout the film, the man holding a gun, his posture, body language and position are very stiff and rigid, which implies conflict. For example, he could be aiming a weapon. Regarding the font, I decided to use the same font from the trailer for actors' names on the poster. This was to help with continuity and is another aspect of our poster that conforms to traditional codes and conventions. Just like how the font itself is strong and hard. However, we did challenge codes and convention in relation to the title font. Usually British crime films use gritty, bold, hard, straight lettering and fonts. However, I decided to use the font that my group had chosen for the title in the trailer to help with continuity because it was the same as Heat's, and not to conform to codes and conventions. Also, it helps create a brand image across all promotional materials. Finally, the tagline uses pastiche from Heat's poster. Ours, a Brighton crime saga. Theirs, a Los Angeles crime saga. This adds depth and curiosity to the poster because of the word saga. It creates mystery and makes the viewer question what is going on, how many things are going on, why is this going on, etc. All these questions provoke enigmas which then in turn intrigue the viewer and make them want to watch the film. Creating enigmas through ancillary products is a typical convention that we have conformed to. Furthermore, the word Brighton suggests a British target audience which may have a wider appeal to the entire country. We chose Sight and Sound magazine because it is a renowned film magazine, and from our target audience feedback we discovered a lot of people felt our film was more of an independent one than a mainstream one. I then found a particular cover I liked and modelled ours around it to pay homage once again by using pastiche and intertextuality, and it adds more postmodern elements. For the same reason I mentioned earlier, connotes a dark, moody atmosphere commonly associated with the crime genre and is a typical convention of crime films, is why I chose the colour blue as the background on the magazine. Also, again, it helps continuity and create a brand image. This is the reason the same font used in the poster is used in the magazine. Another reason I chose this font was because it is soft and curved, which challenges traditional conventions of hard, straight ones. The main image of our two merged characters helps promote the film because it highlights the importance of the two characters. This is the traditional convention we conform to. Also, it informs the audience that these two rising stars will be playing lead roles, which may persuade them to go see the film.